It's our 5th day presentation session. And it's a paper, History of English Literature. And my topic was on Christopher Marlowe, contribution in English drama. Visible? Screen is visible? Visible? Christopher Marlowe, his early life. Marlowe was born in Canterbury to a shoemaker John Marlowe and his wife Catherine. His date of birth is not known, but he was baptized in 26 February 1564 and is likely to have been born a few days before. Thus, he was just 2 months older than his contemporary Shakespeare, who was baptized on 26th April 1564 in Stafford upon Avon. Christopher Marlowe, he was an English dramatist, poet, and a translator of Elizabethan era, known as the Golden Age of English literature. As the foremost Elizabethan tragedian, next to William Shakespeare, he is known for his blank verse and overreacting protagonist and a mysterious death of Christopher Marlowe. Marlowe shows clearly enough that a romantic drama was suited to a need of that nation, and that therefore no other form of the drama could express so well its absent and concrete life. But he show also that for that romantic drama to be a thing of a beauty as well as force, the medium of a blank verse must be chosen. There are some quotes by Christopher Marlowe. Marlowe's major works, and that is a cartooning image of that major work, Dr. Faustus, Tamburlaine, Dr. Faustus, The Jew of Malta, and Edward II. They are most famous dramas. Dr. Faustus, I am just given a brief information about Dr. Faustus. Faustus, that second play is one of the best of that Marlowe's work. Is that a mysterious and also that a black magic and a philosophy thinking, everything in is one of the drama. We can see that it's a very interesting. It is a known as his own of that remarkable work. We can see that extraordinary personality of Dr. Faustus, and that is his hunger of knowledge. The story is that of infinite knowledge and a law of that for jewels, tinsel, and a colored paper. Dr. Faustus was an educated, but he was interested in knowledge, and he was also that knowledge of that. He's a friend calling him to knowledge about that black magic, and he was at that practice it. In order to learn magic, he smells himself to the devil on a condition that shall have a 24 years of absolute power and knowledge. The play is a story of those 24 years, and it's a blank verse meaning and just definition of that very simple way. That blank verse is a literary terms that refer to a poetry written in an unrhymed but meterless line, almost always an iambic pentameter. And there was an example of a blank verse, that a heartbeat in rhymes. And one of that I just found it, and 2010 one TV serial in a BBC is a channel, that is a protagonist was a Shakespeare, but in that suggestive character of that Christopher Marlowe, it's a very we can say that it's a very nice television serial. We just see that the character of Marlowe, and his philosophy and torture of another on him, and their death, and everything was in a see. Just I am just a clip and some video just to see it, but it's I just know suggest you all that you should watch this video. And that Christopher Marlowe role, that actor was presented very well. And it's an we that major work of Dr. Faustus, it, that some element in that TV serial. And that is Christopher Marlowe was arrested by that keeping some evidence of that Privy Council, and his roommate was that in trouble for him, and he gave that name of that Christopher Marlowe was also including in that matter. And that Elizabethan era, that council of arrested Christopher Marlowe. And I'm just picking that article from that our we I just wanted to say you that it's an article. I just put it on my PPT. It's our classroom near one magazine, and I'm just to put it on that. After a 12 day of his arrestment, he was then killed by his friend, and is a very mysterious death of Marlowe. And also, I just tell you something. As with that other writer of that period, little is known about Marlowe. What is a little evidence here is can be found in a legal record or other official document. Marlowe has often been described as a spy, as a brawler, as a heretic and a homosexual, as a well known as a magician, dualist, and a tobacco user. And it's that give that evidence of that society of English Elizabethan era in official document. That my resources, and I would give that one biography video, but I think it's show it. Okay.
Christopher Marlowe was the bad boy of Elizabethan literature. He pushed the limits of literary form. He challenged the religious status quo. He challenged social norms, legal. norms of behavior. In a word, Marlowe pushed limits.
There is no record of Christopher Marlowe's birth date, but there are records of his baptism on February 26, 1564, in Canterbury, England. Marlowe is the son of a shoemaker. He attended the King's School and then won a scholarship to Cambridge University.
Cambridge University hesitated to grant Christopher Marlowe his master's degree in 1587 because they suspected that he may have converted to Catholicism. But the Crown, or namely the Privy Council, intervened on Marlowe's behalf to give him the degree. So this has led scholars to speculate that Marlowe must have been an agent for the Crown.
After his education at Cambridge, Marlowe went to London to produce literature for the public stage. This is the beginning of the professionalization of writing and the concept of a person living as a writer. Marlowe managed to figure out what his audiences wanted: violent, sensationalistic fiction, and he provided that.
Marlowe's first play, Dido, Queen of Carthage, was performed in London in the late 1580s.
Marlowe was just before Shakespeare in terms of achieving popularity and fame in the Elizabethan theater.
Marlowe's second play, Tamburlaine, was performed in the London stage around 1587, and it's one of the first plays to use blank verse in an effective theatrical way. Blank verse is unrhymed iambic pentameter, and so it's a big deal to try to develop that.
After Tamburlaine, Marlowe wrote only 4 additional plays: Dr. Faustus, Jew of Malta, Edward II, and Massacre at Paris.
Christopher Marlowe had a wonderful influence on Shakespeare. Marlowe's plays often resulted in a similar play by Shakespeare, which dealt with very similar themes, as if Shakespeare were one-upping Marlowe, which is the way Elizabethan theater often worked.
Marlowe wrote 4 plays that are famous today. Shakespeare wrote 38. But those 4 plays that Marlowe wrote provided Shakespeare with the plot material for 4 of his most popular plays, so that Jew of Malta becomes Merchant of Venice, Dr. Faustus becomes Macbeth, Edward II becomes Richard II, and Tamburlaine becomes the Henriette.
Marlowe's most famous play was The Tragical History of Dr. Faustus.
Dr. Faustus was incendiary. During a period of time when you had Puritans outside of the theater rallying against it as the Devil's Cauldron, Marlowe puts on a play where there's a period of time when people are new to the theater. And if you can imagine having a title character draw a whole bunch of circles and pentagrams on stage and mumble in Latin, and poof, a devil appears, you have a sense of just how frightening that play might have been.
He was stabbed in the eye. He was at a boarding house, and presumably there was a dispute over the bill or the reckoning. This is thought by many people to be simply a cover. A few days prior, he had been accused of treason and heresy. The timing of this death is extremely suspect. Despite the fact that Marlowe was only writing plays in London for 6 years, he is one of the top 10 English playwrights of all time.
Okay.
In what kind of established was Marlowe killed?
According to that newspaper and that council give that article, is a friend killed Marlowe.
Mayuri, what is the writing style of Marlowe?
Marlowe writing that in Elizabethan time he was wrote in a realistic human life, blank verse, and that characteristic of that different of that Shakespeare. He was also that include a romance and that different protagonist, and also that a black magician and everything elements of that Yeah, sometimes we that newspaper reading, we can see that black magic and everything. He was that put in his style.